Hi, is this Jimmy?
This is Jimmy.
All
How
right.
you doing?
We're good. Let me do the official introduction, ladies and gentlemen. We are very excited, thrilled actually, to welcome our featured guest for this evening. He is an actor, he is a producer, and he is an author. We are so excited to welcome Mr. Jimmy Hawkins to our show. You're on the air with Terry and Tiffany. Welcome, Jimmy.
How are you guys?
We're good. We're good. How are you?
Well, hanging in there like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, Jimmy, I wrote you on Facebook, and I told you it would be my extreme honor to have you on, and I meant that so much because of my 64 years, most of them was spent watching you on television.
Oh, well, son of a gun, isn't that kind of you? Thank you very, very much. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
You know, a lot
You've
of
been
people...
doing it a long time.
What was that?
You've been doing it a long time.
Yeah, a long time. It's been 42 years for me on radio, and we've been doing it on the internet here for 16, so it's been a while. But
that's a lot of people to talk to. Congratulations.
The thing is with you, it's really interesting. I know a lot of people recognize you and tag you with It's a Wonderful Life, and that's certainly something to be proud of and something we definitely want to be talking about. I mean, especially now. I can't think of a better time for people to watch It's a Wonderful Life. If we ever needed it, we need it now with everything that's going on. But the thing is like I said, I've been watching you for 64 years. I grew up watching shows like Annie Oakley. I grew up watching shows like Petticoat Junction. I grew up watching shows like The Ruggles. I grew up watching, because, I'm that old. I grew up watching shows, all these shows you were in, and never had an idea that you were that little boy with all that hair in my favorite movie, It's a Wonderful Life. I knew you from all these TV shows. I never realized you were Tommy Bailey.
Yeah, how about that? Had to start someplace. So, I've been very fortunate to be in the business all my life, and I love it. I love being on the set. I just am very grateful the opportunities I've had in my career and the people I've worked with. It just, I was like, oh my God, here I'm on the set with so and so. Oh my God, this is great. I just loved it. It wasn't going to work; it was going to fun.
Right. Because
all the shows were terrific back then, uplifting, positive kind of shows, and it was a great pleasure to do them, and I enjoy talking about them, especially It's Wonderful Life, because of the message, as you said. We need it more than ever now, and we certainly do. We all have to feel important, and that's why that movie is so important. It makes us know that we are needed, that we can make a difference, just like George Bailey learned.
Right. Well, you certainly got me, because the other host here is my daughter. We always watch It's a Wonderful Life and cry like a baby every time. Yeah, you made me cry the other night with one of your family sitcoms because of the attachment that I have with your character Tommy, and the attachment I have with the character of Mary Bailey with Donna Reed. I was watching the Donna Reed Show, and I knew you were, a series regular on the Donna Reed Show, wound up playing Shelley Fabre's boyfriend. But the episode, Change Partners and Dance, where you were dancing with Donna Reed, it made me cry because of It's a Wonderful Life and that connection. That had to be an extremely emotional thing for you. I know there was a story you can tell about when you walked into the table read, and there was Donna Reed, your mom from It's a Wonderful Life. Talk a little bit about doing the Donna Reed Show, and particularly that episode.
Well, that episode was the very first show they ever did. And I just finished doing the Annie Oakley series. I was still going on tour and doing personal appearances at rodeos and stuff. But I got the call from my agent that I was supposed to go over to Screen Gems for an interview for a show called The Donna Reed Show. Nobody knew about it. But anyway, so I went there and got the part in the very first episode. And when we came to read around the table, everybody was sitting down. I saw Donna Reed at the other end of the table, and so I went up to her and I said, "Excuse me, Miss Reed, my name is Jimmy Hawkins. I played your son, Tommy Bailey, in It's a Wonderful Life." She said, "Oh, yes, I know. We used to call you Rip Van Winkle." I said, "Rip Van Winkle? Why was that?" She said, "Because you could sleep at any time. With all this commotion going on, people lighting, getting ready for the shot and everything, and you'd fall asleep. And when they needed you, they woke you up, and you were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and that's how you got the name Rip Van Winkle." And I said, "Oh, my gosh." And 8 years later, I was still doing the show. It was great. It was just terrific.
That's incredible.
She was a great lady, just a wonderful person.
Now, I know there was that time that she mentioned about being called Rip Van Winkle and everything. Did she talk to you any other times on the set of Donna Reed about the show?
Oh, yeah. We'd sit waiting for the shot to be lit or whatever. We'd sit and shoot the breeze. Then, of course, for years after the show went off the air, lunch, or we'd be at a fair together, and we always ended up sitting with each other. And she just was a great lady and fun to be with. Never star time with her. She was very humble. Whatever things that she needed and wanted were done before. She never had to ask for anything while we were shooting. Like, "Oh, I told you my light should be this way, or it should shoot me this way." No, it was all taken care of. So she could just be her, and she was a nice lady, a real nice lady.
And I understand that you remained friends with her up until even she passed away. I mean, I had read a story about kind of the last time that you visited with her. It had a little bit to do with It's a Wonderful Life, right?
Yes. I stayed in contact with her, and I visited her in the hospital. In fact, Frank Capra had just written a book called The Name, and I was friends with John Ford, and I was over at his house, and I was asked to bring the book over there because he was going to send it to Frank Capra to have Capra sign it. Mm-hmm. So we talked a little bit, about the book, and he had written the foreword to the book, and so he had never read it actually. So he read the book, his foreword. And then when he signed it at the end, he did it again to me, and then sent it to Frank, and Frank had signed it. My dad worked with Jimmy Stewart on some special or something. My dad was the prop master. And then when Donna was sick in the hospital, I took the book for her to sign. And she, took the pen and everything, and she was laying in bed. And she started to sign, and she said, "Jimmy, I can't do it. I don't have the energy. Please, excuse me. But come by the house, and I will have it signed for you." So that next Christmas, which wasn't too far from when I visited her in the hospital, I stopped by her house on Christmas Day, and she never signed the book. She just that was it. She just didn't have the energy, and when I even saw her at her house, I had brought her a new Christmas tree ornament with the Bailey family on it. And I said, look what they came out with. And she looked at it, "Oh, it's beautiful." So I said, "Well, I brought it, and maybe I can put it on the tree. Do you have a special place you want?" "Okay." So she pointed to some place on the tree, and I put it on the tree, and I could see that she was very, very tired, very tired. Wow. Yeah. So I went over, and I said, "Well, I got to get going now. And I just wanted to stop and see you, wish you Merry Christmas." And I leaned down, and her hand just went up on my cheek. And there's a scene in the movie It's a Wonderful Life where she held my cheek, and I was a little 4-year-old kid, and I always remembered that soft, warm touch from that lady. That's all I knew. I didn't know it was Donna Reed or whatever. No. But when she did that and touched my cheek, I went, "Oh my God, this is a lady that did that. Oh my gosh." And then I had to say goodbye, and that's the last time I saw her, and 2-3 weeks later she passed away. But she was great to the end. Just a swell lady. Just the best. I mean, it's a great cast. Shelley, of course, was my girlfriend on the Annie Oakley series, and I knew her back then, and then started her show. And then we've been lifetime friends. We've, gone to weddings together, been to functions, family functions, the passing of both of our parents, and we just stayed very close. And she's been a longtime friend and a good friend. A great experiences, like, being in this business, and those are the kind of people I was able to meet. It was great.
Right.
Do you think, I could ask you this about Jimmy Stewart both, because I know that you definitely was working with them, even after It's a Wonderful Life, and intersected with them, a couple of times. I know Jimmy Stewart 3 times that. Do you think Jimmy Stewart and Donna Reed really knew what this movie was, being the gift to the world that it is?
No, nobody did. I talked to everybody because I've written 4 books on it, and I've talked to the writer of the film. I talked to the cinematographer, of course, Donna and Jimmy, and a lot of other cast members. And I asked them that. I said, well, what do you think? What was a day's work, or however long they were on the film? And, you hope for the best. And it was Frank Capra's first movie and Jimmy Stewart's first movie after World War II.
Right. And
they had problems. They were scared. They both were very frightened. They wondered if they still had it. And it kept them on their toes. But Stewart he had a talk one day with Lionel Barrymore, and he just told him, he said, this seems just so frivolous now. He's telling Lionel Barrymore. He said, being in the war and seeing all of the death and everything, this seems like nothing. What kind of a life is this, doing movies? He was really thinking of going back to Indiana, Pennsylvania, and working with his dad in his hardware store.
Right.
And Lionel Barrymore sat him down. He said, look, Jimmy, you've got a great gift. This is your calling in life. You can talk to people for 2 hours in the dark. They love to hear you. No, you're doing something very important. You're entertaining people and giving them escapism into your movies. No, don't ever feel that way. And that was all Jimmy Stewart needed, because he respected Lionel Barrymore so much that, well, maybe, but the war does things to people, apparently.
Right.
It was tough. And same with Frank Capra. First time he looked through a lens of a camera in 5 years, and he wondered, do I have it? And then when the picture came out and was a flop, he couldn't believe it. He said, this is the greatest film I've ever made. He said, in fact, I think it's the greatest film anybody's ever made. And how can this be? How is it that it isn't popular, that it lost $500,000? Got up for 5 Academy Awards and everything, but it didn't win any. And it just devastated him. And it just shows you in life, if that picture had become a hit, done very well, it would never be what it is today. It took the studio lapsing the copyright, and then they could show the movie for free on television.
Right.
And it caught on. And it just grew bigger and bigger and bigger. And Sheldon Leonard, when I was talking to him about the movie, he played Nick the bartender.
Oh, yes, he was great. I
love
his gangster accent.
Yeah, always. Wasn't that great? He's great in gangster. And so I was telling him, why is this thing? He said, listen, Jimmy, the picture never changed. It was the people who changed.
Yeah.
And he was right. And just like we talked earlier, the people when it became a hit in the late 70s, started to grow during the 80s and the 90s, they needed that message more than ever, that they're important. You see, you don't think that you're doing anything in life. George Bailey didn't think he did anything for anybody. He's just trying to get out of the town and live a life and find his happiness. And he had it all along,
Let me ask you about the copyright thing, because I was doing an article for a magazine on It's a Wonderful Life back in the 90s, And I was working with George Clooney's dad, Nick Clooney. He was a host of American Movie Classics. And his son was about to introduce the first showing of It's a Wonderful Life on NBC, because NBC bought up all the rights to show it like forever. And Nick Clooney from American Movie Classics was really upset that they could no longer show it because he felt it was a gift to the world. It is very true that it got so popular because it was free and it was public domain. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's great because the copyright lapsed and people could see it for free. But then in '93, Paramount or Republic Pictures, through Aaron Spelling, he owns that. He rebought the copyright, changed, bought 3 cues of music, and told everybody in the world that they own it now, and that if they put it out on DVD or VHS and try to sell it, they will be sued.
Yeah.
Then they own it now. It went out of public domain, which it never did, and it's an incredible story. But nobody wants to fight them and call them on it, because all they'll win is it goes back into public domain. It isn't like, well, we won, now we own it. No, no, it just went back into public domain, and so they say, well, we're going to fight this for $200,000-$300,000, and then what did we win? The right to put it out like it was before. Hundreds of other VH companies, all had it in their library. So they'd sell all their other stuff and say, oh, we'll sell you It's a Wonderful Life too. Oh yeah, okay, that's great. So that's why there's so many different kinds of, nice copies of it, bad copies. But now Paramount has really taken over the picture and done miracles with it, and even colorized it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and even this year they came out with a new 4K Blu-ray Steelbook, and I was talking to a lot of different people about it, how beautiful the picture was, and the Steelbook is kind of, I think, it's a big collector's item.
Right.
And to have the Steelbook, oh wow! And because it's the same one that was out the year before, 4K Blu-ray, and I promoted that for them.
Well, I enjoyed the big promotion blitz they had with Target and Walgreens, and I was there buying all that stuff. I've got the It's a Wonderful Life buildings, from the town, and I've got the Christmas, all of that.
Well, Target came to me in 90-something and they said, we want to do It's a Wonderful Life at Target. This was in February. They said, it's late. We're getting a late start. We did have another theme, and then we changed over. And then we found out that you were the go-to guy to talk to, that you know everybody, you can help us put this thing together right away. And so we want to know, number one, would you do it, and how should we do it? What hook can you bring to this that'll make everybody go to Target for It's a Wonderful Life at Target? So they set up a meeting for the next week. They said, please put your thinking cap on and tell us what we're to do here and how to do it. So they said, Donna Reed's family. Oh yeah, sure, I know the husband, and set up a meeting with him, and just made it real quick because I knew everyone. So I came up with the idea. I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go on the road, and we'll go to all the towns you want us to go to where you have Target stores, and I'll bring my siblings from the movie. And the Bailey kids will be reunited after 46 years, and we'll go to your towns and do the morning shows and tell everybody, today we're in town and we're going to be at the Target store and wherever in Florida or Minnesota or all over.
And we're talking Tommy Bailey and Zuzu Bailey and Janie
Bailey and Larry Sims, the older boy. So we hit the road for Target, and met everybody, and just people went crazy.
I bet.
And greeting the people, they just loved the Bailey kids. And we never, ever, and not to this day, take any credit for anything. We just believe in Frank Capra's message. We believe in the power of the movie, and we talk to people and let them know, in our opinion, why the movie hit and what it was about. And we do that as much as we can. And that's why it's a pleasure to be on your guys' show, because now you're part of the legacy. You're carrying on the things with their thousands and thousands of listeners and followers. That's great. Now you are a part of it. You're carrying Frank Capra's message.
Well, we hope to continue on, because 5 years ago we had Carolyn Grimes on, and now we have you, and we want to continue on and maybe get, the actress that played Janie and so forth.
Yeah.
But absolutely. Now, I want to talk a little bit about some of your other stuff. Now, we had mentioned Annie Oakley, and the thing that was so great is the episode I saw the other night. I could not believe that you had started working with Shelley Fabares that long ago. She was in the Treasure Map episode, and here was this little girl and this little boy. I think that you guys were kind of destined to know each other. I mean, all the way through your life. You did 2 Elvis movies with her. You did Annie Oakley. You did the Donna Reed Show. Oh, my God. I mean, this has got to be like your best friend in the business, because you were always hanging out with her.
Always. And when we were doing Girl Happy, we were both excited. I mean, here we are doing a movie with Elvis. Oh, my God. Wait, this is great. So she was between shots, and she came to my dressing room. We were shooting The Breeze. Oh, there's a little knock on. There were dressing rooms that they put on the set, on rollers. And so we were just sitting there talking and stuff, going, oh, God, this is great, isn't it? And then there's a little knock on the door, and we both looked up, and it was Elvis standing there. No, none of his entourage, anything. He said, excuse me, you guys, but do you mind if I come in and we talk? I said, please, I'm busy with her. Please. And I was there, he's sitting there shooting The Breeze for 15, 20 minutes until they came to where we were sitting, dressing room, and then we've all walked out and went to the. I just said, this is great. I mean, my God,
It's great, but it could also be not great, because you're sitting there with one of the prettiest girls in television, and Elvis shows up. So all of a sudden.
Well, Shelley and I had been to a lot of the Emmy Awards. We'd go 2-3 years in a row, and we're just great friends. We just hung out together and went places, and it was just a great experience. Great.
Now, I've got to find out, because we had your co-star from Girl Happy, Joby Baker, on the show.
Yes.
And Joby had kind of a confrontation with Colonel Parker, with Elvis's manager, Colonel Parker. And Joby was talking to Elvis because, he had got a memo from Colonel Parker, and it referred to Joby and making it sound like he thought Joby was a girl. He referred to him as Miss Baker because he got fooled by the name Joby. I guess he'd never met him or something. He referred to Joby as Miss Baker. So I guess Joby talked to Elvis about it, like he thought Elvis could do something about it. And Elvis looked at him and he was laughing. He says, "Okay, Miss Baker, I'll tell him that you don't like it." So did you have any confrontations with Colonel Parker? Because I know Colonel Parker could be pretty rough.
No, he was very good to me. He was great. I'd go over to his office and shoot The Breeze with him. No, he was great. And at the end of the movies, he'd always have some prop. He would wear these dusters.
Uh-huh.
You know what a duster is?
Yeah.
Kind of a long,
white
long
jacket.
People that drive cars in the old days wore them. And then we would sign those for him, for Girl Happy, and then all the stars of the movie, or the actors in the movie that he wanted to sign it would sign it, and the director, and then same with Spin Out. There was always something that he signed.
Mm-hmm.
And I get along with everybody. He's very nice. He's nice to me. So I didn't have any confrontations really with anybody.
Well, yeah. I definitely love Spin Out, but Girl Happy's like my favorite. That's just like...
I didn't like Spin Out.
Yeah.
At all. It was fun doing it, kind of. But I didn't like the script, and it just, I don't know, it had nothing compared to Girl Happy. Girl Happy was just fabulous. It was a great story. It all worked. In fact, I was the first one signed to do the movie. I'd met with the producer and director, and we were talking in this interview, and all of a sudden, Joe Pasternak was the producer. He's one of the big producers on the MGM lot for 30, 40 years. And he said, he stopped the conversation. He said, were you on Petticoat Junction the other night? I said, well, yes, I was. He turned to the room and said, he can play anything. Just explain to him the three guys, and then he'll tell you which one he can do. He said, great. Hey, this is good. Now, make a meeting with you and the director. He'll explain what the movie's about. And God, I love your work. And that was the end of the meeting until I met with the director, and then the director told me about the three characters, and he said, which one do you want to play? I said, well, I think I'm right for Doc.
Right.
He said, okay, great. So then they were going to test a girl to star opposite Elvis. And so they do the Elvis part, and then there was another scene, and would you play this other character in the other scene? Oh, okay. So they tested this girl, and Boris Segal was the director. Very nice guy. And we were doing the test, and the girl was real good. She's very good, but not for this part, in my opinion. And so we were doing it, and they said, okay, close up of the girl. And so I stepped out, and it was all dark, It's so light on the other side of the camera, but then when you step out to, get away from the lights, it's just dark. It's black. So I stepped about 2 steps, and all of a sudden, the director stepped in front of me. And I, yes? He said, tell me about Shelley Fabares. Yeah, because I knew this girl was all wrong. Yeah. Very good actress. Did, it was great, but not for this part. And now I knew the girl that we were testing. I was friends with her, too. And I knew Shelley. And I'm going, oh, my God. I don't want to be disloyal to anybody. But I said, well, if this doesn't work out, Shelley is this part.
Right.
And he said, thank you, Jimmy. And boom.
Now, so, I know Shelley was very... was very professional, but around Elvis, did she kind of have a girl crush on Elvis at all?
Not at all. She had just gotten married to Lou Adler.
Ah, there you go. Okay, I didn't know that. Wow.
She never was that type of gal. No. She was, and that's why they stayed friends, I think, because he always liked her.
Right.
He, hey, she's the only leading lady he had in 3 movies.
That's right. The combination of you and Elvis and Joby Baker and Gary Crosby, you came off very real. I mean, it was totally authentic. You totally made it believable that you guys were chums and hanging out in Fort Lauderdale. What about hijinks? Because I know about Elvis, and I got a feeling that Gary Crosby was a cut-up. And I know Joby Baker's a cut-up because we know him a little bit. Was there any hijinks or stories you can tell about you guys, maybe off camera or during a scene that kind of went wrong?
They had a little trouble with Gary Crosby. He, I don't know, just one scene, the director kept saying, no, do it this way. I want you to fall down the hill like this, and and then you kiss the girl and say the line. And we did that 4 or 5 bunch of times, and he just never got it. And he did something I thought I didn't think that was good to do, because you do a take and it isn't good, and they say print it, you're stuck with that.
Right.
Yeah.
He took it out on the director and did the thing, and then they yelled cut, and he looked up at the director. Well, that's it, huh? That's what you wanted? The director said, yeah, we're in it. And it wasn't good. He just wasn't right. And I said, oh, boy, that's not a very good thing, because that's going to be on the film forever.
Yeah.
So, he just, they had trouble. Now, Joby and Gary became real close friends during the whole filming. And it was a great set outside of that incident. And it was fun. The director kept it fun. And it was just a fun script to do. It was real good. I liked Elvis movies, and I say that of all the movies, it was probably 4 or 5 in the list of his best.
Right.
His best was King Creole he was great in King Creole. That was a great movie.
Well, by the time that you wound up doing Girl Happy, Elvis was very established. Who was the man you expected, and who was the man you actually met? Everybody gives their stories about what he was like. They all say he was nice and polite and everything. But, by the time that you met him, you had to have great expectations. And did he turn out to be what you thought, or different?
Yeah, he was very nice. I mean, he would, on weekends, he would go to karate class. So then,
yes.
Monday weekend, and he said, oh, Jimmy, I've got to show you. And then he would show me what he learned on that weekend. And then he'd call one of his guys over, come here. And then they'd go through it, and he'd be choking them or something. And he was like a little kid. Oh, guys, look what I learned at the karate class. And very, very nice. Kept, very light. Just very nice person. You felt bad that he got caught up in the drugs thing and everything. It's just too bad, because he was a very, very nice person. No star time. He was just very nice.
Now, comparing, what the public image is versus the person that and talking about, quintessential rock stars, you were also very good friends with Ricky Nelson.
Yes.
I assume that you met him from being on The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, but talk a little bit about Ricky and your relationship and friendship with him, and what he was like off camera, out of public image.
Yeah. Okay. I was doing a movie at Columbia called Zots for William, and got a call from my agent and said, Ozzie Nelson wants to meet you. Can you go over there? So I asked the agent he'd be after lunch, and he said, no, you're fine till maybe 3 o'clock. I said, oh, okay. So I told the agent, I can meet him at 1 o'clock, whatever. Okay? And he said, okay. So he called back, all right, go over to General Service Studio at 1 o'clock and meet Ozzie Nelson. Oh, okay. Oh, my God, I'm meeting Ozzie Nelson. So I get over there, and Leo Pepin is the head of the production and everything. I was in his office, and he said, oh, Oz will be here in just a second. He wants to meet you, and blah, blah. Oh, okay. So we shot the breeze, and all of a sudden, in comes Ozzie Nelson. He goes, oh, hi, Jimmy. And I'm like, we're lifetime friends. So, oh, Mr. Nelson, how are you? He said, I saw you on Donna Reed Show last night. And we, the 4 Preps do this show, and they've been called into the National Guard. And so I need to replace them. So I want to know, how would you like to do our show? I said, well, I'd love to do your show. He said, okay, well, give them the script, and then they'll tell you when we're going to do the show, and welcome. I said, well, thank you. And, there I am on Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. And I did a bunch of those over the next 3 years or so. And the family were wonderful people. Mrs. Nelson, she'd do little dances, and just, it was a nice set. It was fun. There were all the shows I did. Donna Reed, Gidget, Petticoat Junction, my three sons.
Dennis and Menace.
Were all shot within 3 days.
Right.
Wow.
But 2 shows, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, and My 3 Sons, were different than all the shows.
You know, I talked to a few people that was on Ozzie and Harriet, one of them being Barry Livingston from My Three Sons. And they all talked about how wonderful the family was and how nice Ozzie was. I don't know if you ever saw that god-awful TV biopic of Ricky Nelson, but they totally portrayed Ozzie as being domineering over the family rejecting, being told what to do, that Ricky couldn't wait to get away from Ozzie. So you didn't get that sense at all, right?
Well, no, we didn't see it, but it was happening.
Oh, okay.
There was, Ricky wanted to do his own thing, and Ozzie wanted to keep him doing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. We just had a great time on the show, but the difference of all the shows was Ozzie and Harriet.
Right.
You would shoot every day, and the show would shoot usually. This show would shoot 5, 6, maybe 7 days. Never rehearsals or anything like that. You'd rehearse the scene before you did it, but you would shoot 5, 6 days, and that's incredible. So that was different. And also, My Three Sons. My Three Sons, you get a call. They said they want you for this episode, and it's 3 days shooting. Okay, they need you January 12th and May 3rd and 4th.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what?
Yeah. Well, there's supposed to be 3 days. No. What's going on?
Yeah, that's right. And so what they did is for 3 months, that was Fred McMurray's deal. You get all my stuff done in 3 months, then I'll do the show. So they did everything he was in. So if you were in a scene with him, you would have to do it January, whatever the date is.
Right.
And then they got his 3 months over, and then they started doing all the shots that he wasn't in, that I may have been in.
That's what everybody's told me. That's right.
Right, and they had to do the shows that way, and you had to have the same wardrobe, same haircut, and everything, because you walk through the door and then come out the end. It's 4 months later, but you had to look like you did the day you walked out the door. So
well, from Fred McMurray's standpoint, that's kind of genius.
Yeah.
Well, if they wanted him, that's what they had to do.
Right.
He had a movie career at Disney, and he was very much in demand, and so that's fine. But it's just unique how certain shows are, and you just had to make yourself. If I had to do a Donna Reed show, and then 2 weeks before they said, Jimmy available for the second and third of, oh no, he's doing another, oh really, oh okay. Well, and then sometimes they would say, okay, well, we'll shoot the other stuff first on Donna Reed, and then we'll get him on the 4th and 5th.
Well, we watched one of our other favorite TV shows the other night that you were on, Petticoat Junction. I am such a fan. Now, the first time I saw you on Petticoat Junction, you were part of a couple of guys that's trying to rob the cannonball, trying to rob the train.
Train robbery.
And your character was so interesting because everything you said, you immediately repeated. I had a friend that did that. It was so annoying.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, Dick Weston, I came in to meet him. He was a wonderful actor at Warner Brothers, and then he turned to writing and producing, and he was the first producer on the first season. And he wrote a lot, he directed them. He's a very gifted man. Mm-hmm. Great guy. So walked in, oh, how do you do, and everything. Oh, it's fine. And he's very businesslike, but nice. And he said, okay, why don't you read the script? And I said, I don't do cold reading. He said, what? I don't do cold reading. It's comedy, and I feel it's timing, and I got to know what the scene's about and get a rhythm. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. All right, well, go outside, do it, and then come back when you're ready. So I did, and so I got the show. And he liked it so much, he made me a regular that season, and I became a guy named Orville Meigs, and I was kind of the buddy to Joe, Uncle Joe. Edgar Buchanan.
Right.
And they were great. In fact, I did the show for 3 or 4 years, but I wasn't that character. I became somebody else. They just liked me and kept me working on the show.
Did you not kind of become the first love of Linda K. Henning?
Well, yes. She tells everybody. She said, "Oh, there's Jimmy. He gave me my first kiss on screen." And they wrote that show with me in mind called Betty Jo's First Love, I think it was called. And that's what I'm saying. And then I was a beatnik on another show with another girl. I dated all the girls in the show.
Wow.
And all different sets of girls, because some would leave and then they'd have a new boyfriend. And so I'd be their boyfriend or whatever. It was crazy.
And you got paid to do it. Imagine that. I mean, wow.
Right. I had to do it. I'm sorry.
How much?
In talking about interesting shows and things, I wanted to go back for just a second to Annie Oakley.
Yes.
Because I believe this was shot at Melody Ranch, right?
Yes, that's right.
Well, talk a little bit about the show, and also, as an animal lover, I have to ask you about the relationship you had with your horse. I'm assuming that you actually rode, because I read that you toured all around with your horse, right?
That's right. We do state and county fairs. They came to my mom and said, Mrs. Hawkins, the show's pretty popular, and we feel that Jimmy should get an act together and do appearances when we're not shooting the show. And so, okay. So decided to buy a horse. So my trainer went out and he found a horse. They said, this horse is great. Now, the horse had shipping fever. He said he could die, but if he lives, this show's going to be great, this horse. And it was. We went into hospitals, Shriners Hospital. That's one thing we did when we go into a town. We'd always go to children's hospitals and entertain the kids who couldn't come to the show.
Right.
And I would go by myself, or Gail and I would go out on tour, or Gene Autry and I would go out on tour. And we'd be gone for maybe 2-3 months at a time. And we'd just go from town to town to town for state fair, county fair, or local fairs. We'd always they had this whole agenda for us. And we'd travel all through the United States, from L.A. to New York, to New Jersey State Fair, or whatever. And I enjoyed that because it was live, and my horse was trained tricks. He'd say yes or no, bow, say his prayers, count, and then for a finale, we'd jump through a hoop of fire.
Holy cow.
Gosh.
Yeah, and the flames started getting bigger and bigger all the time. They have like a gag. Let's see if you can jump through this one, And like I'm 15 or 16 at the time.
Yeah.
It was great, but Pixie was a terrific horse, just the best. When we do the shows, I'd ride him around the different locations when we weren't shooting. I'd just go on and go up through the hills, and he was great.
Well, I know where the ranch is, and I've been there, and been around Canyon Country and the Santa Clarita area and everything. When you do shows like that, now here you're out there and you're amongst all those rocks and everything. We kind of live in the area too. We live up here in Lake Hughes, and we've been down that other.
In right over the hill, Green Valley. You know where that
is?
Yeah.
We had a cabin we built after World War II, and we were always going up there on weekends. And in fact, after we shot Spin Out, Deborah Wally and Diane McBain and I got to be good friends, and we had a big Halloween party up there.
Oh.
And had horses drawn, and had hay. We had a live band up there. It was incredible. I mean, it was a great night, and it was terrific. So I know where that is. In fact, Roy Rogers had a ranch in Lake Hughes, right?
Right,
yes,
absolutely.
yeah.
But the thing that we've learned with living up here is everybody's worried about rattlesnakes. Now you're out there filming. Did you ever run into any rattlesnakes?
Or even when you're out there, with hanging out or partying with the girls?
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. We'd go up there all the time, and but yeah, up in Pioneer Town was they had a motel that we, and you would take a shower, and then when you stepped in the shower, it was kind of a board, like when a forklift comes over and lifts up a board or forklift. You ever seen those things?
Yes, yeah.
A pallet like. Well, those things, the showers. And one time, there was a rattlesnake underneath that thing.
No.
The person was taking a shower. And that was something, Wow. So they were around. But never had any trouble, because we were up in the hills. But, you have so many guys and crew people around. They, it isn't like they want to stay around where a lot of people are.
Right.
Well, I've got to ask you, Jimmy, because you said the magic word that is a big part of my heart. I love so much and have always loved Deborah Wally. Now, I'm so sad that she's gone. I miss her so much. She was great with you in Spin Out. I want to find out now. I find out especially that you were friends with her and you did Halloween parties and stuff. Talk to me about Deborah.
I first met her through a birthday that I'd met. She came into town. She was a New York actress. What I'd always do is I'd go through the Academy directory, and that's where all the actors have their pictures, and casting people all through the industry have this Academy directory. And there'd be leading men, leading women, ingenues, and younger leading men. And so I would get the newest one. And in fact, I introduced that to the Ozzie and Harriet show, to Charlie Britt. He was a Rams player, Rookie of the Year, and he and Ricky were roommates when I started doing the show. And, they were always so, hey, you meet any good... And Mr. Nelson was always very nice that way. He said, do you work with any actresses you think might be good for this show? Let me know, Jimmy. I said, oh, yeah, sure. Okay, so we'd meet some girls, and then they'd end up on The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. And where were we? I mean, how did I get from here to Deborah Wally, do you think? Anyway, Deborah was a real nice gal. Oh, yeah, I met her at this girl's that I had come out from New York and started dating her, Joey Heatherton. And she... and Nick Adams were friends, and he was a good friend of mine. He married the girl that I was in the Ruggles series with. He married her sister. And so, everybody knew everybody. And I met Deborah up at our house when I threw this surprise birthday party for Joey. And Joey had been doing a movie with Nick Adams, and so Nick Adams' good friend was John Ashley, and he was married to Deborah Wally.
Right.
So that's when I first met her, and then they separated or something, and then I met her on Spin Out, and she was a very nice person, and so was Diane McBain, but she was great in that part, wasn't she?
Absolutely. Diane McBain's a great lady too. Diane's been on the show.
Oh yeah, she's. I really like her.
And man, you dated Joey Heatherton. What a lucky man.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I mean, you meet all these girls and you go, wow.
Now, wait, I had read, and tell me if this is wrong, because, sometimes you see things on the internet that's not true, but I had read that you would even give Ricky Nelson dating advice. Is that right?
Well, he had this, where I was up at the house, and he said, I want to talk to you about something. He said, I want to give Chris something. That was the girl he was dating.
Right.
Chris Harm. And he ended up marrying. He said, here's what I want to give her. And it was a ring. He said, but I don't want to have her think it's any more than just, real good friends. I just don't want to go there right now. And so what do you think I should do? I said, well, what do you want to do? He said, well, I really want to give her the ring. I said, then give it to her and just tell her, I think you're special, and I saw this, and I thought it was okay. So he did it and got away with it, but then they ended up getting married, and so it was great. She was a nice girl. They were a good couple, and you hated to see them break up.
Yeah.
She had a nice family, and Ricky was a very nice guy. Very no cockiness about who he was. Very humble. He was just like you see him on the show. Right. Exactly like that.
Well, we do a year-end tribute to all the celebrities that passed away during the year. And one name we're going to have to mention that you had an association with, because you were associate producer on the Evel Knievel movie, which I love, with George Hamilton. We're talking about Sue Lyon.
Yes. Oh, yeah. She was quite a piece of work. I wanted to produce. And so in 1968, I took a USO show to Vietnam.
Right.
And that was going to be my last thing as an actor, and now I'm going to become this producer and find projects and everything. So I did that, came back from Vietnam, and started finding projects. I went over to Universal, and a friend of mine was there, and I had lunch with him, and I said, so what are you doing? He said, I'm doing a project with George Hamilton. I said, oh, really? Well, what is it? He saw it's a thing called Evel Knievel. I said, Evel Knievel, what's that? He said, oh, this guy jumps motorcycles. Really? Oh, yeah. Well, tell me about it. So he started telling me about it, and I said, oh, my God, this is a great project. I like this. This is a nice story for what you told me. He said, well, so we talked more about it, and I said, I can raise the money for that. He said, do you think so? I said, yep, I can. So he said, well, let me talk to George and tell him that I've got a friend that's going to go out and try and promote money for the movie, so that if somebody asks, he'll go, Jimmy, oh, yeah, we're together on this. Yeah. So I sent the movie to 3 people. All 3 were interested. 2 said they would put up the money, and the other guy said, I'll put up the money, but I don't want George Hamilton. I said, well, he owns the project. So this guy I met named Joe Solomon, he did low-budget pictures with motorcycles, and, Hell's Angels on Wheels or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I gave him the script. I gave it to his secretary, this gal, and I said, read it over the weekend, and then we'll talk. Okay. So over the weekend, the lead story in the calendar section of the LA Times was all about this guy, Evel Knievel. And the girl came back into the office and told Joe, hey, look, this is that project Jimmy brought in Friday. Look at this thing. He said, oh, really? I want to know more about it. So I invited Joe over to Universal, and George had some footage, and he had dressed up like Evel. He had the whites with the, red, white, and blue cross in the front, and he had that leathers. And so he would ride the motorcycle with Evel, and there were some jumps that Evel had made that they had film of in the Las Vegas one. And so he came over, and we got a screening room and showed him this thing. It's about 5 or 6 minutes. And Joe stepped up and said, I like it. I'll put the money in. And now this was going to be the biggest movie this Joe Solomon ever did. Other pictures cost $100,000, $200,000. This one cost $750,000. Okay? So now we have to get a script. So we hired this writer, and the script was terrible. It just didn't work. Mm-hmm. And Joe had an idea for a guy, and so we went with that guy, and he came up with a script. But John Milius was a young writer at the time. He'd done a lot of work on rewrites on Patton, and he was a great writer. and he came up with the storyline, but he couldn't at that time write the script. But he became free, and then he rewrote what Joe Solomon's guy did, and then we had the script we wanted. And so they green-lighted it, and for 23 or 4 days, we shot this film all over L.A., and then we went to Butte, Montana for a week, and then shot the rest of the movie. And this Joe Solomon was a real hustler. I mean, he was great. He just had a lousy attitude. You hated the guy. He was just a jerk, and for no reason. I mean, you go, why are you so mean? Here we are doing this great movie, but something happened at the Grauman's Chinese. They were showing The Wild Rovers with Ryan O'Neal, and it did real bad business, so they yanked it. And Joe Solomon got our picture in, and it opened at the Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood.
Wow.
And this thing, I would go and check the house. I'd know what time it was ending. You know, the 8 o'clock show ended at this time, so I'd go see the people coming out and other people coming in. Well, this one night, you know, it was there for 4 or 5 weeks. So it kind of built. And this one night, the people were around the block waiting to get into the 10 o'clock show, and the people were inside watching the end. And I knew the doorman by that time. I said, I'm going to go and check the house. He did. So I'm standing in the back of the theater in the end of the thing, and George is taking off in the movie to jump the canyon. And then my thing will be glorious. And all of a sudden, it's dark, and the titles start to come on, and I hear boom, boom, boom. And I look over, and here's George on the sickle that we saw in the scene on the screen. And he went down the aisle in front of the screen, and the lights came up, and there he is standing in the whites, and the people went crazy.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
They all followed him out of the theater. Now the people are trying to get into the theater for the next show, and then it ended up a picture of him in this sea of people on the cover of Box Office magazine that week. This picture just took off. It made like $30-some-odd million in 3 or 4 or 5 weeks.
And it's a great movie.
It cost $750,000 to make.
Wow.
Wasn't it?
Yes,
it was
absolutely.
really well done. We found the director we wanted. We wanted somebody out of television that we thought would make it big in movies. And we found this one guy, Marvin Chomsky, and he directed it, did a fine job, and everybody did a good job. It just clicked. It just happened. And it was about this rebel guy, and it was really an experience. And when we were up in Butte, Montana, Evo came on the set one day, and kind of he was there. He was supposed to deliver a lot.
Yeah.
He never delivered stuff.
Did you have any kind of issue with Sue Lyon? Because I had thought I'd heard you say when you started talking about it, I think you used the phrase, she was a piece of work.
Yeah, she was. She was a nice girl, you know. She was very nice, but she was, you know, she's kind of strange. I mean, she married a guy in prison and had a romance. He was in there for, you know, life or something ridiculous thing. Now she ends up marrying him. I mean, she was just kind of screwy that way.
Right.
But a nice person. She was a good girl, nice gal. Go along, you know. She wasn't a prima donna or anything. And you could joke with her, and she was great. She was a fine actress. I mean, boy, she is a fine actress.
She was occasionally on a series, and I know this was right at the end of your acting career before you got behind the camera with producing and everything. Kolchak the Night Stalker. What was it like being on that show? 'Cause I love that show. Darren McGavin, it was great.
Yeah, well, that's a strange story. I was over at Paramount producing the life story of Satchel Paige for a proposed movie of the week. And I got a call from the head of casting at Universal that I knew when I was doing a lot of acting. They asked me to do them a favor on some promotion, or I don't know what it was, but I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it for you. So I did that, and now out of the blue, I've got offices over at Paramount. This head of casting called and said, hey, Jimmy, we got something here, and could you show up tomorrow to play this part on the thing? And I'm like, yeah, if you need to. Yeah, okay. Now, this was 1973, I think,
right,
and I quit acting in 68. And so he called out of the blue. Well, I found out he was quitting as the head of casting for Universal. And for some reason, he must have felt he owed me a favor. That's all I can think of. You know?
There you go, tying up limbs.
And he said, I don't care, the money, I'll give you whatever you want, a special billing, it's just one day, blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, okay. So I went over there, and then it was supposed to be on a cruise ship going to Hawaii or something. So I asked the prop man, I said, do you have a couple lays or something I could wear this scene to make it look like, you know, we're a big Hawaiian thing? And the guy was supposed to be an ex-priest, but he drinks a lot. So they priests to bless the bullets because they were going to shoot the vampire with them or something. I don't know. And that was the part. And I remember with the star of the show, Darren McGavin,
right.
We were sitting there, and they said, Jimmy, this is Darren McGavin. Darren, this is Jimmy Hawkins. How do you do, sir? He said, you know, I met my wife on a set. I said, oh, yeah? Well, I like you, but I don't want to marry you. Everybody, just like you, laughed, and, you know, I was taken back. So, anyway, the day's work, and that's how I did that show.
Wow.
You know, I wasn't acting. I wasn't looking for any parts, but this guy felt he owed me something. They had a casting, so...
Now, I understand that you had even, and maybe you can tell us what happened with it, if there's a story or not, but you had even done a pilot for a TV rendition of Andy Hardy, where you would be taking over the role for, of course, Mickey Rooney did it in the films, right?
Yes, I had done a spin-off pilot for the Donna Reed Show, and they did with William Wyndham, and he moves out of town to live on a farm with his wife, and I was their kind of farm boy, you know, to do chores and stuff around the so they, in fact, Tony Owen, who was Donna Reed's husband, called me at home. He said, Jimmy, how you doing? I said, oh, fine, fine. He said, what's the matter? Don't you want to work with me? Yeah, I want to work with you. Well, we're trying to get you to sign to do this pilot for us, the spinoff for the Donna Reed Show, and your agents aren't being very cooperative. I said, yeah, sure, I'd love to do it. Yeah, whatever it is, I'll do it. So I signed to do that. Now I get a call. I finished this pilot and doing a couple other shows, and I get a call from my agent. Al Fiscone, head of casting for MGM, wants you to come out and meet the producers of a series called Andy Hardy. They think it'd be great for Andy Hardy. I said, I've been hearing for 3 years they want that. Now, I live a long ways from Culver City, you know, schlepping across town. And I said, look, they're looking for somebody. They're looking for somebody 5'4", 5'6". You know, they want Mickey Rooney reincarnated or something. Now, I've heard too many stories. I don't want to go. And besides, I'm under contract to Tony Owen and Columbia Television.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that pilot I did for them. And, oh, okay, well, I'll tell them. So 5 minutes later, calls back. They don't care. They want to meet you. Can you just go out to the studio and meet the producer? Okay, all right, okay. So I drive out there and go to Al Fiscone's office, and he walks me over to the producer. And out of the building that I'm looking, I know where I'm going, comes this singing star of the day. And I go, what's he here? I thought you said I was the only one that was, you know, I just talked to Al. I knew Al. And I said, well, what is that? I thought that the And he said, no, this was just a favor for somebody. Don't worry about it, Jimmy. They want to meet with you. And I said, we're walking into the building, and here comes this guy. I mean, everybody knows who he is. But, he isn't up for the part. He is wrong for the part. We don't want him for the part. We just did a favor for his agent. That's it. Okay. So I go in and meet the producer of this Andy Hardy thing. And so he says, okay, well, let's read. I said, I don't cold read it, He said, oh. I said, so I'll just go out there. He said, no. You now stay here. I'll leave. The office. And so I go, okay. So I ran through it a few times to get the pace of the scene and everything. And then Al and I go over it. And I said, well, what do you think, Al? Is this what they're looking for? No, Jimmy, just do it your way. That's fine. Just do it the way you do this thing. That's why they wanted to meet you. Huh, okay. And so he leaned around. He opened the door. And he's ready, he said. So the producer comes walking back into his office. So he sits there, and he said, okay, let's go. So I read it. And final line, I look up. Okay, that's it. So he says, I don't care who you're under contract to. You're Andy Hardy, and I'll do whatever it takes. You are going to be Andy Hardy. Wow. I said, oh, wow, great. Oh, wow. I was overwhelmed. I said, well, I hope you work it out. It's nice meeting you. And I left. Then they traded. Carol Lindley was under contract to MGM. So they traded Carol Lindley to do Diamond Head. And they gave MGM me for Carol Lindley a lot of money that they had to pay off Donna Reed's company to get my services now. So here I am.
You gotta be proud.
Party, and now we finished the show, and you keep hearing stuff. I waited for like 9 months. The NBC, they did it with NBC, and they said, okay, they've sold it, and told MGM it's Sunday opposite Lassie. And the studio said, no. Andy Hardy is known for the 40s, 30s, and 40s. And we would need the audience for Wednesday night at 9 o'clock for this show. 7 o'clock, these kids, they don't know Andy Hardy.
No.
Right.
No, we're not going to deficit finance millions of dollars and do 30-some-odd shows for you, and then it doesn't go, and then we've lost money. They said, so we'll just wait for Wednesday night, or Wednesday, they just picked Wednesday.
Right.
It could have been Thursday night or whatever, but night later, the other audience, and they never gave it to them.
Oh, wow.
So they kept picking up my option and paying me, and then they said no. So, okay, so now I'm back sitting in Tony Owen's office at Screen Gems, and my buddy that I met on Donna Reed, on Ozzie and Harriet, he was a big Rookie of the Year with the Rams, and he was very popular star with the Rams, and Tony Owen was a big baseball fan. And so I said, a friend of mine would like to meet you, Charlie Britt. Oh, Charlie Britt, oh, God, yeah, well, come on in anytime. Okay, so I tell Charlie, okay, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, whatever. Yeah, okay, so we go over there, and he's talking to Charlie about football and all this kind of stuff. And then he turns to me. He said, how's that thing over at MGM going? I said, nah, they just released me. Didn't work. He said, oh. And he leaned over to his phone, and he called, hi, hello. You know the show, not next week, but the week after with so-and-so? Yeah, Jimmy Hawkins is going to play that part. And the guy went, he said, yeah, okay. Turned to me and said, welcome back. And that was it.
Oh, there you go. Gee. Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I got to mention a couple more things here.
Sure.
You mentioned Zotz, William Castle. God, what a legend. I mean, he's a big thing to this radio station here. Did you enjoy that? What was it like working with William Castle?
And Tom Poston.
I didn't like him at all. I didn't care for him. didn't really get along with him. I just thought I didn't care for the way he worked. And I don't think it's such a big deal. I like Tom Poston, and Mike Mazurki, worked with them, and this girl, Demi North, I was the boyfriend. That's all I ever played. Friend or boyfriend. Okay. So, but yeah, I was I don't know. I didn't enjoy it.
You know, there's one other.
When I was doing it, Ozzie Nelson called. Oh,
right.
Ozzie Nelson. Those guys.
There's one other director that a lot of people said they've had trouble with, and I believe he was a director of Gidget. We're talking about William Asher. Did you work with William Asher? Because we knew William Asher. We spent a lot of time with him, became friends with him, was the nicest guy in the world. But there's so many actors that said he was kind of gruff.
Well, I worked with Bill Asher on a Shirley Temple Presents. And I liked him. Yeah, it was fine. You know, that was kind of a live show back in 62. Shirley Temple Theater. Do you ever remember that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, in color. And I did that with Frankie Avalon.
Wow.
And Frankie Avalon came up to me and said, "Oh, I got to see you on Annie Oakley. What a pleasure it is to work with you." And I go, "No, it's my pleasure. Oh, my God, Frankie Avalon." Oh. So did that show, and Bill Asher was the director, and the jukebox was supposed to be playing a Frankie Avalon song, and I lip sync along with it, like you do when you hear a popular song. You go along with it. So Bill Asher came down and said, he said, "Okay, everybody, that's real good. And Jimmy, do that thing where you're lip syncing, like you're singing along with Frankie. That was good thing." Oh, okay. So I don't know.
I'm surprised you didn't.
Story. He's a very nice man.
I'm surprised you didn't invite Frankie Avalon to the party with Deborah Wally. They knew each other from the Beach Party films.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they did those beach parties. Yeah, she did some stuff over at AIP.
Yeah.
Now that was up to her. This was just a party that all of us invited friends that were close with us, and some of the people, Will Hutchins, we invited him, and just a lot of people.
Well, my friend's going to be glad to hear you invited Will Hutchins. He's a big friend of his, has him on his radio show all the time, and I know you're with him.
That guy. And when we were on the set of doing Spin Out, we were standing by the water cooler and just shooting the breeze. And I said, "Well, where are you from?" He said, "Oh, you wouldn't know. It's an area in L.A." "Oh, really? Like where?" He said, "Oh, it's called Atwater." I said, "Atwater? I was born on Atwater Avenue." And so we talked all about Atwater. So he's a very nice guy. He's a very, very nice person.
Well, I have to ask you one more thing here, and then we'll wrap this up. We got a little special treat for everybody here that we want to ask you about. But one more thing, I want to do like 360. We started talking about It's a Wonderful Life. Your scenes with Jimmy Stewart, of course, it was the famous tinsel scene, and I guess that was just like an ad-lib that Frank Capra told you to do, just put tinsel on Jimmy's head. And then the scene where Jimmy's all emotional, he's crying, he's hugging you, he's pulling you forward and kissing you. I guess there was a story about that it kind of like burned your faces, like the Santa mask you had on was burned. Like, can you talk about those two scenes with the tinsel and with Jimmy Stewart where he was crying and hugging you?
Yeah, right. Director, okay, you're sitting on his lap, and now told the prop man, give him some tinsel. I want you putting tinsel on his, and you're listening to him, and you pretended you were going to scare him. Isn't that something? Here I am wearing a Santa Claus, and I'm going oof, like I'm supposed to scare him.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Santa! Oh my God, don't attack me! So we do that scene, and then all of a sudden he pulls me into it. Now, he didn't just, kind of grab and pull. He jerked me towards him. And when he did that, the mask that I was wearing around my neck, I wasn't wearing it on my face, it was on my neck, it would hike up every time and the inside of the mask was like sandpaper.
Mm-hmm.
And when it went so fast, it just scraped across my chin or my cheek, and I go, "Oh my God, that hurt!" It hurt. It was just like, "Oh, geez." So we rehearsed it 2 or 3 times, and there again, he just pulls me in. Oh my God! I thought, when is he going to stop this? Geez. So we rehearsed it 3 times, and shot it a couple of times, and every mask would hike up and scrape. But I knew enough. This is strange. A 4-year-old kid would know this. That I had to pretend it was the first time he was doing this. I couldn't flinch or anything. Telegraph that, something's going to happen. I think this guy's going to grab me and it's going to hurt. And no, it didn't. And so that nobody knew it. It's just me.
Right.
But it was vivid in my memory that hurt. And that's the scene that you were talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And then with the tinsel, Frank Capra just kind of mentioned that you do that.
Yeah. It's always given me business. Like, I would go over the script with my mom at night, and they said, well, you're going to be here, and you do this, and blah, blah. Is that you, Daddy? Can you sing, Daddy? Oh, okay. I say that. And then he would give me business. Then we got off, and we were to go to the kitchen and follow Jimmy Stewart, Donna Reed, and my older brother. We followed him towards the kitchen. And now Frank Capra is into the scene, and then he tells everybody to stop. Jimmy Stewart, Donna Reed, stop everybody. And then he squatted down with me, eye to eye. He said, see where you are right here? And he looked at the carpeting. And I said, oh, yeah, okay, I see. Yes, sir. And he said, I want you to pull on this man's coattail. As you come out of that room, you keep pulling on his coattail. But when you get right here, you say, excuse me, real loud.
Yeah.
I said, okay. So we did that 3 times. He stopped 3 different times, the whole scene, and then explained to me where we are. Now say, excuse me again. Okay, I will. Okay, sir. So we did that. And I remember the second time I was supposed to say it, I didn't say it. And I knew in my mind, I was going, oh, you're supposed to say, excuse me. I'm talking to myself. So, but the older boy picked up the cue. I just dropped it, didn't say it right away. So the little boy, the older brother, well, how do you spell this, Daddy, or about our car or something? What's the matter? Don't you like our car? Blah, blah. And he, oh, I'm sorry, Daddy. And so in between that, right, maybe count to 3, I said, excuse me again, but not where I'm supposed to say it. And then I said it the last time.
Mm-hmm.
So now we flash back years later. We're over at the Motion Picture Academy. I'm a member of the Motion Picture Academy. And there's director's choice. So it was Frank Capra was going to show his favorite film, It's a Wonderful Life. And he talked to the audience and everything. Well, before he was going on, I went up and introduced myself. And we started shooting the breeze, and I asked him some questions. But I did ask him, I said, because I asked him, what's the most difficult scene that was shot in the whole movie? What's the toughest one you had? He said, the scene with you kids.
You were only 4. Give you a break. I mean,
come on, but no, you guys were great. There's so much going on in that scene. There's so many levels.
Yes, yeah.
You know, you have the kid going, how do you spell this, Dad? You're burping, pulling on the thing. The girls banging on the piano, and all these things were funny. But I didn't want the people to laugh at the scene. I wanted them to laugh with the scene.
Yeah.
Right.
And I had all those things going. He's lost the 8,000. The wife is thinking, what? He is himself, you know. Then he goes ballistic, and he said that was very difficult. And that's all stuff with us kids took 12 days to shoot.
Wow.
So, but I asked him at the thing, I said, you know, I didn't say it at the right time. The second, excuse me. He said, I know. I said, well, why did you not just say cut and let's start over? He said, because it seemed real.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're 4 years old, Jimmy, do you really know you're acting? Do you really know what you're doing? Do you think it's just like playtime with some new friends, or?
No, I knew this was business, and I had to do certain things at certain times, and I had to, pick up cues. The little girl stopped, and they said, "Oh, we're going to sing tonight." And then I turned to them, "Can you sing that?" Oh, wow! Yeah. And I have never, ever in my career, I always look at me as an audience, and I go, "You should have waited on that line. The timing was just a little off. You remember the next time you get in this kind of situation." And I could always tell when I did something, and I said, "Oh, that was perfect. Oh, you did that real good."
Mm-hmm.
And I always knew that. I could step outside of myself and critique myself and said, "Nah, you should have done this differently."
Wow.
I'm surprised the director didn't tell me something, or whatever it was. All my career, I could do that. And it was somebody else, and I said, "Well, he's got to do better than that, or he's real good at this one." So it's, I don't know, but it was great doing It's a Wonderful Life, and it's the longest lived thing, and it's just touched everybody, and it's just a wonderful experience. I don't know if you know or not, but 2 years ago I requested to go to Attica Prison.
No.
And I wanted to show the film to the prisoners, these hardened prisoners. And so I told the people in Seneca Falls, the chief of police was the chief of police for 20 years. And I said, "I want to ask you. You could probably do something with this. I want to go to Attica and show the movie, and I want to talk to the people afterwards, the prisoners." "Oh, okay." So they made some calls. They said, "It's tough. We're not getting anywhere." Well, somebody knew Cuomo's mom, and Cuomo's dad and Frank Capra were friends.
Oh.
So they asked me to make up a letter, and they would give it to Cuomo's mom, who was a big fan of It's a Wonderful Life and the It's a Wonderful Life Museum in Seneca Falls.
Mm-hmm.
So she handed my letter to Cuomo and said, and he read it, and he told his people, he called the superintendent of all prisons, 90-some-odd prisons in New York, and said, "This guy from the movie wants to get into Attica. Make it happen, will you?" And so one night we drove out of Seneca Falls to Attica and went in there. What an experience that was. Oh, my God.
It's incredible.
And all the guys had seen the film, and they filled up their chapel. That's where we had the question and answer, Q&A, in the chapel of the prison in Attica. And these guys were so well prepared. They had notes and very intelligent observations of the movie. And I said, "Now we're going to start this Q&A and blah, 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 so you ask us anything you want about the movie." And I said, "But first, I have the first question. Did you guys see anything in the George Bailey part of him getting a second chance in life, like you guys are getting a second chance in life now?"
Oh, that's great.
And yes, I saw that George Bailey did. He got a chance to see what life would have been like if he had never been born, and that was his second chance. And yes, and oh my God, the evening, 2 hours went like lickety-split.
Wow.
And so one guy at the end of it, are you okay on your time? Maybe you want to...
Oh, no,
that's
go
fine.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so one guy said, "Mr. Hawkins, I have a program here." Well, they gave programs to everybody about the movie, about the... I brought Zuzu with me, and they asked us questions. And they had this little program that talked all about this. He said, "Would you sign my program?" So I looked at the superintendent of all the prisons sitting next to me, and he looked at the head guard, and they went, "Yeah." And then the superintendent said, "Now they'll come up to the edge of the stage. There'll be somebody there at the edge of the stage, and then they'll walk it up to you and Carolyn, and you can sign it." I said, no, I don't want that.
Right.
I want to sit on the edge of the stage and have them come by. I want to meet them in person and sign their thing. And then the superintendent again, the head of the guard, heard me tell him that, and then he made some art, and all these people, they took all the guys, took them out the door, down the hall, waiting to get in with their things, and I signed, and Carolyn signed every one of them.
Oh my God, that's wonderful.
Everyone. And a guy said to me, would you sign this to my mom?
Oh.
It's her favorite movie, and I want to give her something that nobody can give her. And I went, sure, I'd be more than happy. What's your mom's name? Blah, blah, blah. And just all these guys, the questions and their attitude towards us while they went by and got us to sign their little program. It's just an incredible experience. It was just so happy to have been there, to be able to touch their lives, because they knew everything about the film. They asked questions, and oh my God, they were very intelligent.
Well, I don't want to forget to mention that you did write 5 It's a Wonderful Life books. We have your It's a Wonderful Life trivia book. It's one of my favorite books.
Oh, okay.
And the one that you wrote I want to talk about is you wrote one explaining It's a Wonderful Life from the view of your character Tommy to children.
Oh, yeah. It's a Wonderful Life for Kids book. Yeah, right. Because we meet hundreds and hundreds of people, and they all tell us the same thing. Oh, when I was a little boy, I used to sit and watch this with my parents, and now I'm married, and I sit, and my kids, and now they got their kids right with them. And he said, look, here's my son, and he watches the movie with us, and I was always, oh, how are you? You understand banking and building the loans? Isn't it? Little kid, he's like 7 or something. Yeah, and he's kind of shy. So I said, I'm going to write a book for kids, from a kid's point of view, and so they'll understand what that movie was about.
Yeah, that's great.
From a kid's point of view, and that's why I picked my character to tell the story. So thank you for bringing that up. It was a fun book to write. I wrote it in just a couple hours, and I called a publisher, one of the biggest publishers for kids' books in the United States, and by some freak thing, I asked for this guy's office, the head of 12 or 14 children's books under the banner of this main publishing. And the guy answered. I said, oh, it's Mr. I'm him, he said. And it was like a lunchtime or something. And the secretary's out, and he picked up the phone. I said, well, it's a pleasure to talk to you. You ever hear of a film called It's a Wonderful Life? I said,
Yeah.
I said, well, it's Tommy Bailey. Tommy Bailey! Oh, my God. So he talked all about what that film has done for him and little stories. He said, so how can I help you, Mr. Hawkins? What? I said, well, I've written a book called It's a Wonderful Life for Kids. It's just blah, 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 blah. He said, oh, my God. Okay, let me tell you something. Within 2 days, I'm going to have a lady call you. She's the president of this division of ours. That publishes Winnie the Pooh, and I feel that It's a Wonderful Life is in that category. And she'll be calling you within 3 days, and then you tell. I'm not going to pitch it to her. You do a great job. So you tell her what you just told me. Okay? Okay. And you got my number and everything. He said, okay, remember, within 2 or 3 days, this lady will call you. Oh, okay. So, hung up. 30 minutes later, the phone rings, and, hi, Mr. So-and-so asked me, I'm the president of the...
There you go.
Well, how can I help you? And I told her what I told you. She says, do you have anything on paper? I said, I have it all down, but I don't know your template of how you form a kid's book.
Yeah, layout,
Right.
template, yeah.
Script. I don't know that layout. She said, well, I'm going on a vacation for 10 days. I'll be gone. I'll call you when we get back and then talk to you about it, okay? I said, oh, that's fair enough. Just send me what you have. You say it's like a script? Yeah, it's just, yes, right. Okay, here's the email address, and I'll call you in 10 days. That Tuesday, I get an email back, and all it said on the email thing, is this what you meant? And she put it all in their template.
Wow. Perfect.
And she said, I want it. Don't sell it to anybody else. We're going to have a deal. I'll be back, and we're in business. I said, oh, great. Hey, I'm glad you liked it. And that was it. The thing sold tons of books.
Are all 5 of your books still available? Are they all, still in print?
No, out of print.
Oh.
Yeah. you can get and stuff like that. But a lot of people bring them to signings, though.
Yeah.
And when we meet the people, they have stuff, or they buy it there at the museum.
I would love to mail you my copy with return postage if you could sign it.
Oh, sure, be happy to.
Yeah,
of course.
So we have to mention one more thing as we go. Tiffany wants to bring up, because she loves rock stars, and you were a big teen idol because you got into putting out a record.
You even did your own release. You had your own single.
Yes, I know. I wrote it, and I proved to everybody I cannot sing.
It was good. I liked it. It was fun.
Do you sing? I said, I talk out of tune. Are you kidding? I can't sing. I love singing. I just love that stuff. But I just didn't quite make it. But I did it, and I wanted to do it, so I did it and got it published and out. But it didn't sell a heck of a lot. But it was fun. It was fun to do, and that's nice of you to bring it up. And the best part is you didn't play any of it. That's even better.
Yeah, but you don't know. See, we're going to actually, as we're ending this, and we want to say goodbye here, but we're going to have you.
Want to have me sign your book?
We have got to play your record because the people want to hear.
Please, I want to sleep tonight. That's fine. You play it on somebody else's show. Their time, okay? So that's very kind. It's called Sure Do, and it was like Ricky Nelson's Poor Little Fool. I like that. I want to, sure do, feel bad, did I do, love you, sure do, did. And it was different. It was quite an experience. I think I was 15 at the time, so I could say I was. Anyway.
Well, everybody did a record back then.
Thank you for tonight, and I hope I answered everything you wanted in the way you wanted it and got the information over to you and your listeners. I thank you for having me, and I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a great New Year, and I know it's going to be better than this one.
It's got to be.
So I appreciate you asking me to be on your show.
Well, I don't want to be corny, Jimmy, but you really have had a wonderful life. You really have.
I have.
Yes.
Really have. It's just terrific.
Thank you so much, sir. Such an honor.
All right.
All right.
Keep that show going, okay?
Okay.
We will. Thank you so much, Jimmy.
Out there at Lake Hughes, that's great.
Yeah.
Like I said, I spent years there. We built the cabin ourselves. My dad brought some guys from Universal where he was working after World War II. He was in World War II, and they'd come up weekends and we'd build stuff. And my dad said, "Now we're going to have a swimming pool. So you and your brother dig here, and then we'll have a swimming pool." It was out front. So, oh gosh, we're digging and digging. And he said, "Okay, that's enough." And it turned out to be that's where the cesspool was.
Well, I'm inviting you up next year up here in Lake Hughes for a Halloween party.
Oh, great! I know the guy that has the hay rag concession. So
perfect.
We'll get him there. All righty.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you,
it's
Jimmy.
been my pleasure.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Okay. Same
All right.
to you guys.
Bye-bye.